Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Today we're going to be discussing the topic of annual report design for companies and nonprofits. And we're going to specifically be discussing why so many are choosing to go with an online report these days. Let me preface everything by saying I realize annual reports can be a boring thing to read. But they don't have to be. They don't have to be boring and bland. With the right design and the right delivery, you can make your annual report engaging for your readers. Now, a lot of graphic designers find designing annual reports boring too. But I guess you just have to find the right designer for the job. They actually happen to be one of my favorite types of material to design, whether we're doing a printed version or a digital version. Actually, I tend to prefer the longer documents like annual reports and newsletters and whatnot to the shorter things. But if you design an annual report well and you present it in the right format, it can be a great vehicle for presenting your company's milestones from the previous year and highlighting what your company's mission and vision for the future is. So before we get started, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Nora, and I'm the founder of Nora Kramer Designs. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at PhotoNora. I'm the principal developer and designer here at our firm. I've been a graphic designer for over 25 years. I started off in print design back in the late 80s. And then when the internet started burgeoning on the scene back in the 90s, I got into website design. So I've been doing websites for well over 18 years at this point. And I believe that websites are a company's #1 marketing piece and the best salesperson they will ever employ. I work with businesses and nonprofits to define their brand and build websites and marketing collateral that performs well for them. So today's topic is going to be annual reports. When you're designing an annual report, you're usually designing it to disseminate information to your investors, your stockholders, your employees, your customers, and the general public. And why are you doing this? What are you hoping to accomplish? Well, you want to encourage investors to purchase stock in your company. You want to help others understand your company's position. You want to give credit and thanks where it is due. An awful lot of times organizations and businesses work hand in hand with other organizations and businesses within their community, and you like to give some credit and some thanks for that, and a lot of times that's done in an annual report. You want to show transparency within your organization. Generally, an annual report is also going to contain some sort of a financial report, so you want to be very transparent with stockholders and investors. You want to give your employees a common uniting goal. You want to create a positive impression with the public. So how do you all do all this? Well, delivering a strong message requires a compelling design and implementation. So your annual report needs to consist of a few things, which include it needs to offer solid content. It needs to be organized and easy for people to find things. It needs to, of course, be visually appealing. You want to capture their eye and hold their attention. It needs to be persuasive. And maybe even cutting edge. So when we're talking annual reports, there's several different ways you can deliver an annual report. There's several different types of annual reports. Of course, the most common and prevalent annual report is going to be your traditional print and bound report. That's how they've been done for years and years and years. Now, as we've gotten into the internet and online delivery, a lot of companies have gone to a PDF version of their print and bound report for digital viewing. So not only are they putting out a traditional print and bound report, but they're also offering a PDF version for their investors and their viewers to read that they can get online. Some people have moved to an annual online report in the form of a website. And a lot of people these days, which I'll show you in a few minutes, are using a combination of both online delivery via a website, a PDF version, and traditional bound and print reports. The amount of companies creating an annual report in a digital format has risen quite a bit over the past few years. In a study done in 2013 by the National Investor Relations Institute, they found some very interesting statistics on annual reports and how they're being delivered. Their study showed that 7% of companies are using only a printed annual report. So they're still printing them traditionally, binding them, shipping them off to the appropriate people to receive. And then 5% of companies are using only an online or a digital annual report. So they're not doing any printing at all of their report. Everything they do is being delivered specifically online. The rest of the companies, which obviously is a large majority of them, are doing a combination of both. They're doing both a printed annual report and they're creating either an online website or they're creating some sort of a version of their printed annual report that they can deliver through their website or through a specialized secondary website specifically for their annual report. Their study showed that from 2010 to 2013, digital annual report budgets increased over 30%, and online tracking of reports increased 60% between the years 2008 and 2012. Traditionally, when printed annual reports are sent, that's pretty much the end of it. That's the end of its content life. However, when you produce an online report, there's a lot more you can do with it. It can be used in a number of additional ways. So we're going to go over some reasons why companies are choosing to go digital. Obviously, first and foremost, is it cuts out on the expensive printing process. No longer do you have to design your report, send it to print, send it to the bindery to be bound, and then mail or ship it off to the people that are supposed to be receiving the report. So you're cutting a lot of extra expense when you're not, going with a printed report. This, of course, conserves natural resources because you're not using all the paper to print that report on. Another reason people are choosing to go digital is it offers more visibility. If it's on a website, it's available to search engines, so that means anyone searching your company can pull up your annual report as well. So you get a lot of traction that way. This makes it easier to reach a much broader audience than you would be able to do if you were just going the traditional printing route. It's measurable. When you're putting an annual report online, you can install things in the back end for tracking and analytics, so you can actually track how many people are viewing your report, what they're doing with it, actions that they're taking. So you have some sort of measurement of who your report is reaching and how they're using it. An online report encourages interaction and engagement from readers. It's not a static printing on paper, so there's more that can be done with it when you're working with an online medium. More high-profile companies are choosing to go to a combination of online and print than ever before. And some companies are bypassing a printed version altogether, and they're choosing just to go online only. For instance, the Salvation Army no longer produces a hard copy of its annual report. Instead, it uses a digital version, which includes a message from its organization's leader and stories from the people they've helped. Their annual report includes a downloadable PDF with versions of the current and previous year's annual reports. And they're able to include specific calls to action with a prominent donate button on their website. And I'm going to switch over for a minute here just so we can see their online annual report for 2014. As you can see, it's all done in the form of a website. It's very interactive. They talk about their vision with letters from different organization leaders. Their financials are all available online. They've got financial summaries that people can pull up. So, I mean, it has all of the information of a regular annual report. It's just done in a digital format. They also offer PDF versions of their report. You can get their entire annual report downloaded as a PDF if you'd like. And then they also offer previous year's versions if you'd ever like to see those as well. What I liked most about this website was the fact that they have a nice big red donate button right here on their annual report. So while people are viewing their annual report, they can go in and actually donate to the Salvation Army. And I think that's ingenious that they did that. I really think that is a great thing to do. Another company that's gone to an annual report online is Shopify. Shopify produced their 2014 annual report as a one-page scrolling site. Now, the reason they did this is because they were focusing heavily on the fact that 1/3 of e-commerce orders running through Shopify are being placed on mobile devices. This means that they know more and more people are using a mobile or a tablet, a phone or a tablet, to access shopping sites. So they're really grabbing a hold of that and saying, okay, well, we're going to produce an annual report that's perfect for that type of medium. So they produced it as a one-page scrolling site. If you're scrolling a website on a mobile phone, studies have shown that visitors prefer to scroll rather than click when viewing from mobile devices. So they really kind of capitalized on that by producing their annual report that way. And instead of using a lot of text, they used a lot of infographics, charts, and minimal text to engage their readers. And we're just going to pop over to their annual report here so we can have a look at it. Now, of course, I'm looking at it on a big screen. It's going to look different on a mobile device, but you're going to still see the same things. As you can see, they're using a lot of bold colors. They're using charts, very little text, mostly charts and infographics to really get across what their organization has done in the past year. And this is definitely one of my favorite online annual reports that I ran across. Okay, so what makes up the elements of an exceptional online annual report? When you consider doing an online annual report, some of the key things that your company should keep in mind as they move forward with the planning for it is they need to remember to use compelling visuals and infographics. Reading a printed annual report can be tough because of the volume of information that is in them, so you can imagine trying to read it on a screen, how difficult that would be. Makes it really uninviting, so you really need to leverage the power of charts and infographics to show, not tell, your company's story. Lots of data can be presented in a concise fashion in a properly prepared infographic. You need to utilize the power of online-only capabilities. Creating an online report gives you the ability to make it interactive, unlike a traditional paper format. So you can use multimedia videos, sound bites, animations, other forms of interactivity to liven up the reading experience for your viewers. Be sure it's responsive and mobile friendly. We know more and more people, like I said, are visiting websites from their mobile phones, from their tablets, their iPads, their Kindles, whatnot. So when you're creating an online annual report, you need to make sure it's not a fixed size. It needs to be designed and developed to be responsive and mobile friendly so that it flows to the correct size depending on the device it's viewed from. Summarize the information. Many people are likely to review a company's annual report: stockholders, consumers, employees, among others. Certain facts in that report may only be interesting to certain groups of readers. Like, for instance, your general public might not necessarily be interested in the financials, whereas, of course, your stockholders and investors are very interested in the financials. So you need to make sure you have a good table of contents, a good summary, a good way for people to jump around and get to the information that they're looking for. Use a clean and flat design. When you're designing an annual report, you want it to be clean and crisp and clear for the viewer. You don't want to junk it up with a lot of, like I said, a lot of text or a lot of graphics. Just keep it nice and clean and minimal. A minimalist approach is becoming industry standard whether you're going print or online. So you don't need to add a ton of bells and whistles to it. Just simple, glanceable call out summarizing your key points, minimalist assets, and maybe a flat two-tone design. That's going to make your report more effective. And you need to also offer offline annual report access. You need to understand that while a lot of people have gone digital, not everyone is ready to adopt it. So we're not really living in an all online access world yet. So you need to consider producing both an online version, maybe in the form of a website, and a PDF version. Even if you aren't actually going to go to the cost of printing one, the PDF version gives you a version that you can put on that website and allow people to download it so that they can read it at their leisure. That way you save those costs of printing, but you're still able to disseminate the information to someone that maybe doesn't necessarily want to sit there and read everything online. They can print it out themselves and read it whenever they feel like it. So hopefully this has given you a little bit of information on online annual reports and why companies are choosing to go that way. If you need help designing your online annual report or your printed annual report, just remember we do that as well. So you feel free to contact us at norakramerdesigns.com. And thank you and have a great day.